everyone, my name is Cameron and this is my wife Sadie, and today we just wanted to go over the best possible way to get started in real estate investing and what we personally have done to acquire a few of our properties.
So in our opinion, the number one thing that you can do to set yourself up financially is to house hack. So we're going to kind of show you what that looks like and the cash that it takes to get those properties.
So when we started our real estate investing journey in 2018, we really had no idea what we were doing, and we kind of just went for the first thing that we were looking at, which was a 4-bed, 3-bath house. It was really nice, but it was not something that we needed at the time.
After a little less than a year of living there, we started doing more research, reading books, listening to podcasts, all those kind of things to figure out how we could build our real estate portfolio.
So we discovered that we were kind of doing it all wrong. Although we had successfully bought a house, we discovered that we didn't really want to pay for a $1,300 mortgage by ourselves. It was nice to have a brand new home with a lot of rooms, but like I said before, in the end we didn't really need that, so we looked into other options.
So we packed up, rented out the house we were currently in for $1,800 and moved into a non-conforming duplex, which is basically a single family home with an apartment in the basement.
From there, we renovated the new place, we moved ourselves into the basement of that home, and we rented the upstairs. We were cash flowing about $500 a month from the first home that we had moved out of, and then from the second home, the rent that we were getting from the upstairs tenants was completely covering the mortgage for us to live there.
So already, just by buying this second home, we were being paid about $500 just to live there. We got income from our first home and income from our second home. The only thing that we were paying for on our own was our utilities.
After a few months of living in the basement of that second house, we ran into a little bit of an issue with some rules that our city had, which basically stated that we had too many people living in the house, although there were only 4 of us. It was a whole situation. We can go into more depth of that in a later video, but basically it required for one of us to move out, so we decided to move out of the home, keep the upstairs rented, and rent out the basement.
Know your laws. We started looking for a new home in a different city, and our only criteria was that it was, again, a mother-in-law style house.
Everything was already updated in this new home that we purchased. It was actually built a long time ago in the 1950s, but it was renovated, so everything was nice and up to date, which we were super excited about. So we were able to find tenants pretty quickly and move them into the basement.
So I know that was a lot, so let's kind of break down the numbers on all of that. House number 1 we bought, and the mortgage on that was around $1,300. We rented it out for $1,800, profiting about $500 per month.
House number 2 had a mortgage of about $1,300 as well, and once the upstairs and the downstairs were rented out, it was about $2,400 per month, leaving us a profit of around $1,100. Leaving us with a profit of around $1,100. Why can I say that? Leaving us with a profit of around $1,100 per month.
Now, house number 3 was a little bit more expensive. It was in a bigger city, in a nicer area, so the mortgage for that one came out to be $2,300. We rented out the basement for $1,300 and then used the profit from the other 2 homes to pay for the rest of the mortgage.
So with the more expensive house and adding everything all together, we were still at a net positive of about $600 per month. And I will also add with that these numbers were based on a few years ago. So now rents have gone up a little bit. We do midterm rentals in some of the units. We make a little bit more, but we're kind of just giving you an overview of what it was when we started.
Now, I don't want you guys to think that we were spending that extra $600 a month. We actually decided to put it in a separate savings account so that we could have that money in case anything were to happen to any of these properties.
We are now under contract on house number 4, which is also a similar type house with these other ones where it has a mother-in-law basement. Our strategy has changed slightly now with doing midterm rentals as opposed to long-term rentals, but we won't get super into depth with that on this video.
So what's our point with all of this? We just wanted to show you guys that it's totally possible to live completely mortgage-free, and it's actually pretty simple to do too.
Now, I know your next concern is probably how can I afford 3 houses, which is a great concern, so that's why we kind of wanted to show you how you can do it, and you might be surprised it is a little bit less expensive than you might think.
So say you want to buy a home and the price for this home is $350,000. If this is going to be your primary residence or the place that you're going to live in, then most lenders have a program where you can pay as little as 3.5% down.
So if you can't get approved for a 3.5% down FHA loan, which I think the rule is 3.5% down loan per person, there are also options for 5% down conventional loan offers.
Assuming you are able to get the 3.5% down payment, that would put your down payment total at $12,250. Now, unfortunately, that's not the only thing you're going to have to pay for.
There will also be closing costs that you'll have to pay that'll go towards the origination of the loan. You'll also have to pay some for the underwriting of your loan and just the whole process of the loan. These closing costs will typically be around $5,000 for a house that costs $350,000.
You'll also pay for title insurance, which is around $1,000. And then there's taxes. Usually a lender will collect up to a year's worth in taxes and put them into what's called an escrow account. These taxes will probably be around $3,000 depending on where you live.
Another thing that you're gonna have to pay for is an inspection on the home where somebody will go in and pretty much just figure out everything that's wrong with the property. This is gonna typically cost you about $500, but it is well worth it to do that.
Next, you'll have to pay for an appraisal. This is where an appraiser will go look at the home and give you a price of what the home is worth based on other homes in the area and other factors. This again will be about $500.
And then the last thing that you'll have to pay for is homeowner's insurance for a year up front. This will typically cost you about $1,200.
So with all of that, our cash to close is going to be around $23,450.
Now, before you get freaked out, there is some ways to leverage yourself on this by having the seller pay for some of these costs. And if you have a good real estate agent and lender, they can definitely help you through this part of it.
For some types of loans, they usually allow the seller to contribute up to 3% of the purchase price. Now, unfortunately, that amount can't go towards your down payment, but it can go towards everything else.
So our total cash to close was $23,450. So if you were to get seller credits of $10,500, that would bring your total out-of-pocket cost to $12,950.
Now, we're not experts, so our numbers might be a little off, but what we're trying to show you is that's a huge difference. If you can actually afford a bigger down payment, seller credits can go towards different things also, like buying down the rate, which is really popular in this market right now with interest rates being so high.
I will say that this is not always possible as well. Depending on the market, sellers sometimes don't want to put that much money towards your closing costs. So it just kind of depends on your area and what the market's doing at that time.
Right now, with the market shifting more in favor of the buyers, I will say that a general rule of thumb is that the longer a house is on the market, the more leverage you're going to have with the seller.
If the house that you are looking at has been on the market for a while, that could be a good sign for you because the seller could be desperate and they could do whatever it takes to get it sold. That's exactly what happened to us with this house that we're under contract for right now.
Yeah, we caught wind that the seller of this certain home was going through a divorce, which is very unfortunate, but they were just trying to get rid of the house. So we kind of sent in a low-ish offer and they ended up accepting and paying for quite a bit of our closing costs.
So if you are in the market to buy a home, especially if it's your first house to buy, the first step in this process is to find a good lender because they're really going to help you through the whole process and they're going to hold your hand through everything.
A good lender is going to gather your information and tell you what price you can afford for a house and what your monthly payments are going to look like.
Now back to house hacking for a little bit. If you can't afford to buy a home right now, try to rent out your other spaces in that home. Like we've said, for us, the best thing that we have found that works for us is renting out the basement in these non-conforming duplexes that we find.
Not only are your renters paying for your mortgage and making it so that you don't have a mortgage payment every month, they're also paying down the principal of your loan. The more payments that are made over the course of many years, the more equity you're going to end up having in that certain home.
Let's explain that a little bit better. So a mortgage payment is broken down into 4 different components: principal, interest, taxes, and insurance.
Principal is the loan amount. Principal is the loan amount that you initially borrow to buy your home.
Interest is the percentage of the principal. Interest is the percentage of the principal that you pay over the life of the loan. In other words, that's kind of like the fee that you pay to the mortgage company for lending you the money.
Now, there's no way to get out of paying taxes. No matter where you live, there's always going to be property taxes. And the actual amount that you pay has to do with a ton of different factors.
And lastly, there's insurance. There's actually two types of insurance that you're going to have to pay for if you put less than 20% down on a home loan. The first is homeowner's insurance, which you're always going to have to pay. And then the second one is mortgage insurance, which you only have to pay on loans that you put less than 20% down on.
So the more payments you make on your loan, the less your loan amount is going to be, right?
Once the loan is paid off and you go to sell your home, all of that money will go into your pocket.
I like to think of our homes as our savings accounts. Our mortgage payment, being paid by others, is going into that savings account, and then when it comes time to sell the home, that's when we will get all that money back into our pocket.
So unlike renting, the principal amount of your mortgage will come back to you one day. Hopefully that all makes sense.
Now, the best part about all of this is that your home is going to increase in value over time. A home is an investment that over time can give you amazing rewards.
Just like any other investments, the housing market will go up and down over time. But if you stick with it and hold on to your house for a long time, it will go up in value. Probably.
Probably, it should. We got lucky with the purchase of our first 3 homes where we bought them right before that kind of market boom that we had in 2020. And all 3 are worth quite a bit more than what we originally paid for them, but we're still gonna hold on to them instead of selling them because we think that it'll pay off even more down the road.
So if everything stays the same and if we keep all 4 of these homes, in the next 30 years or so, they will all be paid off and we could be collecting rent from all 7 units. And that's great for retirement.
Great. However, we don't really plan on keeping things the same. We're going to keep looking for good deals in real estate and keep buying up properties whenever we can.
Whenever we get into a cash position to be able to afford a home, we will do so. As of right now, because we just purchased this home, we are not in that position.
Although this is something that we're really passionate and excited about, I definitely don't consider us experts by any means on this topic. And we're not telling you guys all of this to brag or show off. We just want you guys to know that it's possible to own real estate no matter your age.
It is definitely possible to own real estate young, old, in a crazy market, with a lot of cash, with not as much cash. But we really think that house hacking is the best and easiest way to get started in real estate.
So here's what you're gonna do. Have someone else pay for your mortgage and then set aside all that money that you're saving by not paying a mortgage and use that cash once you have enough saved up to buy more properties.
We really hope that this has been somewhat helpful. Hopefully it wasn't too jumbled, and please, if you have any questions, just leave us a comment or you can DM us. We would be happy to help. Because like we said, we're not experts, but we do have a little bit of experience and we would be happy to help in any way that we can.
Well, that's all we've got for you today, so I hope you enjoyed this video and we will catch you guys next time.
Thank you for watching.
Bye.